I'm Carl, and you're watching the Coffee Bowling Channel.
Welcome back to the Coffee Bowling Channel. So I've been absent for a couple of weeks, and that's because I was bowling on the summer tour, and I just ran out of gas. I could not, I could not do the whole filming and all the other stuff. You know, between qualifying, waking up, you're just getting enough rest and everything. Between doing all that stuff, man, hats off to Brad and Kyle and the house and everybody that can just seemingly do that, you know, during the tournaments and stuff. I don't understand how they do that, but kudos, man, that's awesome. But anyways, I got my third ever win in the PBA, although it's my third regional title. I ended up winning the Clean Air Solutions all the way up in Hampton, Virginia at PBA Century Lane. So I thought it was really cool to share my experience with you guys. I ended up qualifying pretty high up on the first day, and this is the trophy. So I ended up qualifying pretty high up on the first day, and then came in the next day with just trying to go into it and just be comfortable and make the best shots possible. And you know, one thing after another, and I just kept on performing really, really well that day. And I thought that was really cool to come out with a win. I ended up switching spare balls going to the semifinal, one-game match, and ended up making a couple splits late game in order to win the match against Packy. And then I bowled AJ Chapman in the title match, and it was, you know, head-to-head. AJ may have bowled a little bit of a better game, but I guess I just had count on him. It was 245, I think, to 239, so it was a really close game. And it kind of just, you know, luck of the draw as far as who carried what. So because that match could have went to anybody, and I'm thankful it went to me. So we'll get into about some of the other particular things and what I felt gave me to the edge, or the winning edge. Coming into this PBA Regional, I've been on the national tour for, you know, a couple of weeks, and been doing pretty good on it. I made cuts, but you know, I didn't show much promise for making match play or anything like that. Going through the rounds, it's just kind of getting beat up a little bit as far as, you know, falling behind the scoring pace and just kind of failing to see what I needed to do on the lanes. But that's part of the learning curve. But it's a whole lot better than not making the cut at all or not making any money. So the fact that I went on the summer tour and came back richer than I was before is just incredible to me. So, because it's a first, you know, new personal best. So let's get into some stuff that I thought gave me the winning edge in the regional. And I'm going to start with my game plan. So we are on wood lanes. Yeah, I know. What the heck? Some of you are probably even wondering, you know, I didn't know the PBA went to wood lanes. I didn't know either. That was the first time I bowled a PBA event in a wood center. And it was probably the third time I ever bowled on wood lanes. So kind of crazy. I had a positive response on that. And one thing I noticed right away in a practice session that I felt was super important was the boards with holes on them. Now, it's a wood lane surface. This is just how it is. Now, yes, there are some wood lanes that don't have holes, but, like, I mean, it's just, you know, it's an old center. Like, what do you expect? But otherwise, it was in pretty good condition, I would say. But there are some of these lanes that they were dark and they were kind of starting to erode away just from so many years of being bowled on. And you could see that whenever your ball rolled over that part of the lane, it just hooked immediately. Or if you lofted it and it hit like the edge of the hole, the ball would bounce the opposite direction you threw it. And that did not make for a positive result as far as knocking down pins go. But so it was like bowling around obstacles. It was it was crazy. And just about every pair, like the dark boards or the boards that you just could not throw your ball on because of, you know, a hole, or just the board was just crazy. It didn't respond very well. Was about like the right E10, so the right-handed second arrow and the left-handed second arrow. I mean, everything in between that zone was just brutalized. Like, you just could not. I mean, you could touch it, but like some lanes were just untouchable. Other lanes you could kind of work it a little bit, but it was very inconsistent from pair to pair just because the traffic or just the lane's history was just different. And I noticed really the only clear-cut way to get around those boards was just to play right a second arrow. And so I just made that my game plan. Even though it was a 40-foot shot and I had just got done bowling on it in the, a regional ago, which I had miscut, not by a lot though, and so I was kind of nervous going into it, especially on wood lanes, because like, oh great, because it hooked too much for me on, a lower friction lane surface. So now on a lane surface like wood, I was expecting it to just be dead in the water. But I got there and I just started throwing urethane because I knew that it was just going to be so much friction that the resin balls would just be so violent down lane. And everything I tried with the resin balls just ended up in me trying to be in front of the ball return. So that didn't work out well. So I committed to only urethane. In fact, I super committed to it. I did not even bring a resin ball into the building for Saturday and Sunday. Didn't even bother trying it the next day. Just stuck with the game plan. My arsenal was 2 black hammers, 2 purple hammers, and a Black Widow urethane, plus my T-zone. That's my spare ball. But there were times when I thought about throwing it as a strike ball because the lanes got so crazy. But what gave me the winning edge is not just the bowling balls, but how I used them. I stayed on the clean boards, and I went from trying to not hit it very hard at the bottom to all sorts of ways of touching the ball. At one point I was almost lofting it to the arrows right of 5, which was insane because it's just such an awkward line to play. But I got the job done. I was able to just secure myself in the pocket every pair, and I was able to find the pocket before the first 4 frames were up. And that was huge in that event. And I thought that's what really gave me the winning edge, or at least gave me the potential to put up a decent number every game, because I was able to have a clear-cut picture of what I needed to do on every lane. And then the other thing that really allowed me to win these matches was just being able to stay calm and kind of find my comfortable place in the tournament, I guess you would say. Because it's very, very difficult to control your heart rate, especially when you're chasing after something for so long. And this is the closest you've been, and it's really, you can smell it, you can feel it, you can touch it, and it's right in front of you. And you want it that badly. It's kind of crazy how nervous you can get. So something I've been learning, especially on the national tour, it's just breathing techniques to help just control your nerves. Just be able to, get yourself in the right mindset, especially to compete. And then I'll leave you guys with one last thing. So here's a funny story of the regional, and I thought that, I thought about not mentioning this because it is incredibly embarrassing, and at least I was proud of how I handled the moment. So I tied Sean Maldonado for the 4th and the 5th spot, which was a difference between a double bye and just one bye in the bracket the very next day. Either way, we're both going to make it to the next day. So it didn't really matter who won, but you did get a slight advantage in that you were guaranteeing yourself like the top 8 or whatever. But so I go in there, I watch the qualifying squad. We end up tying after the 8 games of the squad, the B squad block. So we go in there, warm up. It's strike for strike. It was crazy. We were trading blows like it was nothing, and I had actually felt comfortable, a little too comfortable actually. Sean and I were just exchanging words, just being silly and kind of laughing. Tom Daugherty was behind us, and he was he was kind of making me laugh too, just by saying funny stuff, and the whole crowd was just kind of into it, having fun. And so I get up there, and I think I punch for 250, and Sean can punch for 240. So obviously, if I get the first one in good count, I win the bye. And he had already gone, so he had 244 on the board, and I had a potential 250 up there. So I get up there in the first out of the 10th. Bowling alley goes kind of quiet, like it normally does. Get up there, I take some time, and something just doesn't quite feel right in my hand. I ignore it, which is a fatal mistake. So I get up there, and I just, I had to loft it like to the arrows at this point, and it just didn't come off my hand very well, and it just didn't feel right, and my hand was sweating out of nervousness, and it just whoop, right in the gutter, and it was hilarious. I turned around and I just started laughing because it was just like such a serious moment, like serious anticlimactic moment to the to this serious moment that had built up. And it is what it is. You just threw a gutter ball in like a very crucial moment. Some people could be embarrassed about that, but I laughed it off because I know that one shot is not define my career. But I go into the next day, and I did take that into consideration because I realized that the lack of seriousness and focus is what caused that gutter ball. So I made sure not to make that mistake, and it worked well for me the next day, seeing how I won. So that was my regional win recap. If you guys liked it, like and subscribe. If you guys want to hear other random stories from tournament wins or stepladder appearances that I've made in regionals and stuff, or some other national tour stories I could tell you that are pretty funny, or just cool experiences, let me know in the comments.